Hello and welcome to Opening Arguments. This is episode, what was it? It's 1233. This is episode 1233. I'm your host, Thomas Smith, and we're doing bonus video. This is the normal Friday episode slot, but this Epstein stuff is just, we got to do it. We got to address it. So we're doing extra video. It's sort of like a double vapid response. And we got the crew's all here. Welcome, Matt, immigration attorney, of course.
Yeah, hey, a little happier to be doing this one. This is going to be a big one. We're going to talk about the Epstein plea negotiations in a little more detail. I'm going to move away from last time where we talked about a lot of bad people and get more on familiar territory, just talking about bad lawyers. I think that's more familiar to the show.
Who aren't people. We agree. Lawyers are not people. Yeah. And of course, Lydia's back. How are you doing?
Hello, I am doing all right. Yes, thanks for having me on a Friday. This is not normal for me, so happy to be here. Yeah.
When last we spoke, you left us with the teaser of the plea deal being even worse than it already was bad, and it was bad.
Yeah.
I am really curious to hear how it got even worse. Do you want to give us any more teaser before we go to break?
Just that I think it's worth reviewing the whole story because, people keep hearing about the sweetheart deal. I think maybe people know some of the details, but really digging into it and not just looking at what the defense and prosecution were exchanging and how friendly they were, but looking at the enormous missteps and the disagreements between the prosecutors and how they were handling this. There's some new stuff that's come out. But most importantly, what we did not have before was the memo recommending the indictment and the federal indictment itself, the draft of what could have been if we had federally indicted Jeffrey Epstein. It is there.
Did they not already have that?
They did not.
You would think that would be FOIA-able like forever ago, right?
Pretty embarrassing. Well, it's a draft indictment of somebody who's never federally indicted for these things.
Okay.
So, it's it's the one I'd really been waiting for. So we can go through it a little bit, talk about what's in there and how it got recommended. And sort of we're going to see the emails about how this got derailed and how Dershowitz and Kenneth Starr and everybody else got this thing so far off track. So a lot to talk about today. And we've got a quick video up front today. I thought I'd save the master douche himself, Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to be seeing for today's quick amuse douche on a Friday. We're just gonna
he doesn't deserve the amuse douche.
It's true.
Doesn't even deserve that.
Another category.
Yeah, dude, here's our amuse douche. It's Satan. No, man, that's just...
he will actually be asked.
Category of your own.
Satan.
Yeah.
He'll be asked if he is Satan in this clip. We'll find out the answer.
Oh, okay. Let's hear some hissing noises and a firm denial, I'm sure. All right. Well, that's going to be the show. We have so much to talk about, so much to dig through, and I'm excited to do it. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll go to our first break here, which you can avoid at patreon.com/law. Support the show, get all the goodies, lose the ads. Thanks so much to our supporters who make this happen. All right. We'll be right back. Well, here we are with yet another slideshow, a nicely put together slideshow.
Shout out, Olivia.
Thanks, Olivia, as always.
And our first slide is just an apology for having to cover this. Should I go to whatever the second slide is?
Yeah. So this is going to be our clip. I'm going to play a quick video clip. We haven't heard Jeffrey Epstein's voice. I had never actually really heard him talk before. I just want to remind everybody, we talked about this a few Epstein episodes ago, but Steve Bannon did a complete documentary recording. He did like 15 hours of video with Epstein. Right. None of this had come out before. And now we have it. This is part of the DOJ release. So I wanted to notice this. You can go and watch more of it if you want. I don't recommend it, but I want to watch just the end, just to skip to the end. I got to say, we've been seeing throughout, as we've been talking about this story, and I'm sure people know that all these academics and all these people that wanted money from him said he was brilliant, just like this witty, sparkling guy that he just couldn't get enough of. And
wouldn't you know it, the guy who has billions of dollars who wants to give us money and flies us on a jet. Oh, he's so great. He's brilliant. What just a brilliant scientist.
Can't get enough of the man. Yeah.
But we've all read his emails and his texts, and we're like, that guy?
I can't. I was going to joke, like, watch he talks like his text. And it's just like the letters are all wrong and incomprehensible garbage.
So we could probably do a whole video just on this video because there's just so much stuff. It's very hard to watch and listen to him knowing who he is and what he's up to. He does try to at one point, answer questions because this whole thing, Steve Bannon was promising him redemption. Basically, it was supposed to be like his opportunity to talk about his philanthropy and about what a great guy he is and how, these allegations are all misunderstandings or whatever. So it's pretty hard to watch. I don't want to give voice to this man.
Why does it say exposed then?
This is what he switched it over to. This is now.
So he tried to switch it to like I did.
Because this is Steve Bannon, typical. Yep.
So we've got it marked. It should be marked at the end. And I wanted to play just kind of the last couple of minutes. You can hear him talking, first of all, starting out about ethics. Great topic for Jeffrey Epstein to be talking about.
Dershowitz was his lawyer, so there you go.
Can't wait to get his thoughts.
Bannon's going to ask him some of the tough questions here, including the one I teased up front. So let's just play a bit of this.
I know in my case, Is your money dirty money?
If you live,
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So, in fact,
why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it.
But you earned it.
I earned it legally.
We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money.
So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question.
You think it's a legitimate question?
Yes, no question. Because I think ethics is always a complicated subject. But I can tell you that
Thanks, Jeffrey Epstein.
With the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio in Pakistan and India,
that's awesome.
Instead of asking me whether that money should be given to these children for vaccines, I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people with their money.
If we walked in, you're a mathematician. We walked into that clinic where they're giving that money out to these people that are in the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1.
Tier 1's the highest and worst?
No.
Don't besmirch him by being so.
Okay, Tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
Yes.
That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children?
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
I think if you told them, if I told them the devil, 100%. The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
What?
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody knows.
Smart?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is at the number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
Okay, good.
Okay.
What the?
That was good. Steve Bannon closes with that was good because this is a rehabilitative project, right? Great answer to "Are you the devil?" I saw in a movie once that thing you just said from John Milton. Steve Bannon much smarter than Jeffrey Epstein. I gotta say, no question.
Yeah, I will. Yes. Also, you could ask Steve Bannon if he's the devil himself.
Yes.
Like this is like
this
is like the devil asking the other devil if he's him or something. Like I don't know which one's worse. They're both so bad, and I like. What a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing that, like you could, like if Steve Bannon wanted to say this was all a trick on Epstein, like, I mean, I could almost believe it based on that. I don't know. I have to watch the rest of the 2 fucking hours it looked like it was, but that was weird. I don't know. First off, that's the worst. This guy is terrible on camera.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a shame that this didn't get to air so everybody could be like, oh, this is the worst person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like maybe they should have interviewed him a long time ago. Did he do any TV like before? You know, like before he was.
This was in preparation for an interview he was supposed to do, but never did. Yeah. Probably.
But even like before the convictions or anything, he wasn't like,
so.
Yeah, he's terrible. Holy shit.
Yeah.
If your answer to like, is your money dirty? Like, well, tell that to the people that I gave a little bit of it to.
Right.
Okay.
Like people that would be held hostage by it because they're also tackling something that's like awful and horrible. Like,
it's not even good lying. You're just like, so I should ask the people you like, if I give $20 to a homeless person and my money is all like bribery money, blackmail money, should I ask that person if it's dirty? That doesn't make any sense. They don't know.
Still like my money.
You just it's like you just gave them some of it.
What do you think was going on in Epstein's head, like when Bannon is asking him these crazy questions? Because like they were so chummy, like via text and email and everything.
Epstein might be an idiot.
I
think he
just
might be really dumb.
Yeah.
Or something.
I
like
feel like, are we friends or not? Like, what's happening right now?
He seems like a clueless dummy.
Yeah.
I mean, my read is he was being a little mock confrontational, that he was trying to make it look like a hard-hitting documentary so that he could have a good rehabilitative, kind of like, I survived this interview with Steve Bannon kind of thing. And I don't know. But obviously the angle was to make him as philanthropic and smart as possible. But there's plenty of other places. And he also does like the old billionaire thing of like constantly dropping names, constantly bragging about people he knows and people who's been around. It's unwatchable. Obviously I tried.
I want to watch the shit out of this because it's just so fucking weird. It's like
the next miniseries for our shows.
Frost Nixon. It's like it's a Frost Nixon with two people who are both worse than Nixon. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Gonna need some chemical assistance for that one. So let's
is that
on.
whole thing available in the
yes.
files? Is the whole 2 hours?
Yeah, that clip is the full 2 hours. I believe that there is like supposed to be, I think, like 15 hours of source material. I haven't found it all, but that's the 2 hours that was kind of edited down. Yeah,
buckle up, Thomas.
I don't. It's just I was just fucking weird. Just this guy. I think he's an idiot. I think he might be dumb. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, his messages have given us every indication that he's dumb. Yeah. But the fact that I guess he's good at blackmail or math. I don't know. My two skills are blackmail and math and pedophilia.
He might have been genuinely good at math, which, as you know, is amazing to me. But specifically,
it explains your distrust of math.
But no, it's interesting to hear his voice after all this. I mean, obviously, we gave voice to the victims multiple times already on this show, and I didn't want to have to play the clip of him. But this did just come out. It's a public interest. The documentary itself is an interesting thing, and I think Bannon is doing the Bannon thing and weaseling it into something negative. He's going to turn it into something else. But anyway, we should talk about the main subject today. I've got quite a lot here. We're not going to read through all of it piece by piece, but I just want to show you a couple of things. So in 2024, the FBI helpfully prepared this incredibly useful summary of the entire Epstein case, which, we don't have time to review all of it, but there were problems from the beginning with the Miami investigation, with the New York investigation. Obviously, as everybody I think knows, what we're going to be talking about today are the events that happened in Florida. The case that Epstein was facing when he died was the 2019 charges on the really big stuff that would have taken him down. Everything we're talking about today is about events from 2002 to 2005 or so, involving, as noted here, 35 victims. The youngest was 14. And this really, when you look at the details, especially in the memo where they're recommending these charges, it blows apart the narrative that Ghislaine Maxwell was trying to set up in her interview with Todd. You might remember with Todd Blanche, she was trying to say that, he kind of drifted younger and younger as time went on. He was mostly into appropriately aged, or at least 18 to 21 or whatever. But this shows from the beginning, he was always into under 16, preferably, and he got mad if they would bring him anybody over 21. So that's not the new part. The new part's on the next page. I just want to show you where the document is coming from so people know this is a credible document. This is the real thing. So if you go down to the next slide, you'll see from the second page of this document. This is for a summary of the post-indictment things. And this is at the point at which he is indicted in the second time in 2019. So I also wasn't aware, on July 23rd, 2019, I wasn't aware that there was a prior suicide attempt. Did you
no, we knew that. We talked about prior suicide attempt.
Okay.
It's one of the main reasons that I don't buy the murder thing.
Right, because
he had a prior suicide attempt, unless you want to say that
well, so
it's hard to square that with a murder narrative, but
there is a bombshell between the prior suicide attempt and the actual death. So if you go down from July 29th, Melinda, if you can do the honors.
All right. On July 29th, 2019, FBI and SDNY met with Epstein's attorneys who, in very general terms, discussed the possibility of a resolution of the case and the possibility of the defendant's cooperation.
Cooperation. Jeffrey Epstein was talking about cooperating in a case in which he was the main guy. Ghislaine Maxwell was about to be facing her own charges, but he was the guy, right? He is Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And it really makes you wonder who is going to flip on, because that is, and it really sets things up for any kind of conspiratorial thinking here, because notice the next item, August 10th, 2019 is when he dies.
Approximately 7:30 a.m.
I mean,
that's almost 2 weeks later.
I'm not conspiratorially minded, but I'm just saying, word gets around, he's cooperating, he dies. Again, I don't know. And if you've seen the latest autopsy stuff, and the prosecutor I happen to live with was saying it's pretty shocking, actually, the violence that was done to his hyoid bone, more than we realized.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The latest pictures from the neck bone, they're really, she said it would have to be a pretty hard drop or an actual strangulation. So again, I'm willing to believe the official narrative for now, and I think there's more maybe coming, but The timing on here is very interesting, and we did not know, as far as I know, it had never been reported, and it now is finally being reported that he had attempted to cooperate just before his death, which means that he was potentially going to be flipping on other people that knew things. Because they already had Ghislaine Maxwell.
So what's this document? Is this a continuation of the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the second
this
page.
is actually prepared by the FBI?
This is the FBI. This is their summary of everything that happened, and this is prepared in 2024, well after he's dead. So it's just kind of their rundown
of
of
everything. So it's the real FBI and not like the fucking
the real
Trump FBI?
Yeah, it says approved by Criminal Investigative Division on July 17, 2024.
Yeah.
It says, okay, so I didn't know this. When staff was able to revive Epstein, he couldn't recall what happened?
Huh.
Yeah. And he had, his cellmate said he didn't see anything. He's just sitting there with his earphones on.
Fuck?
Yeah, I know. It's some weird stuff.
This almost seems written to try to make it seem like something happened. Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
But
I really try to keep
it was
to
written
what we
by
know,
real
but
people. Like this is not Cash Patel's
that's what I'm trying
FBI.
to figure out. So this,
I don't know.
is there any reason why you would say that is there any reason as a prisoner in that situation why you would need to like pretend you didn't do a suicide attempt or something? Like, I mean, would that maybe be to avoid the suicide watch?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
But he was on suicide watch, wasn't he? Like, it didn't work. But I guess maybe even if like he could have still been trying to avoid that, even if it didn't work, because otherwise, I couldn't recall what happened.
Yeah.
But it said, wait, with red marks on his neck?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even like a noose situation.
Yeah. I mean, there was some talk about his cellmate. I remember, and the cellmate is mentioned here that he was a cop who'd killed 4 people. I think he'd buried some of them in his yard or something. But so, and maybe that's a whole other thing.
Fuck?
But yeah, but the
I mean, and you also have to keep in mind the fact that it could have been a murder that wasn't related to this. Like, people totally like to kill pedophiles in prison. That happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I had just assumed, is this news to you that the suicide we knew about the suicide attempt. We talked about that. That's one of the main reasons why I thought it wasn't a murder, is that he had a prior suicide attempt. But this is saying found unconscious in his cell with red marks on his neck. That's much different. I mean, unless this is just like quick, sloppy writing or something, to be found with red marks on your neck and nothing tied around your neck would suggest that somebody attacked you, maybe.
It would. And,
I mean, all of this is like technically you could request all that information, right? From
and there it says per SDNY, the
Center.
Washington Post has made an inquiry of the incident, and this would have been 2024. So it's like, there's got to be more on this, right? Is there anything else? I mean, millions of pages, I guess. But
the cellmate and the kind of the questions around that. But I just thought the timing here is very interesting. That 6 days later, he's talking about cooperating after this, apparent suicide or assault, and then August 10th.
That in itself is interesting because he wasn't scared into not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would also mean that this is, I think it's really, look, if you want to listen to the easy content of people who are going to just say, he was murdered and not really dig into it, fine. That's not me, though. I want to actually think through this. So that would mean that this first thing on July 23rd did not happen in response to him saying he was going to cooperate.
Right.
So that would mean someone, or this guy, or like if it were an attack, it would be either unrelated or based on a person who likes to hurt pedophiles in prison, which I understand happens, like from time to time. Or if you want to go the conspiracy route, is somebody trying to take him out before he even agrees to cooperate, which is also, I mean, it's possible. Yeah, they might have been
maybe just talking
not
about
willing to, or someone's like, I'm not even going to chance it. Like, I'm not willing to whatever. But then, so if that's the case, though, I guess the point I would make is if it was already happening before he said he would cooperate, it doesn't make it any more likely that it happened after he said he was going to cooperate. You know what I mean? So like that July 29th meeting, if there was already an attempt on his life, that doesn't really matter. If do you follow me? Like someone was already, if that first attack wasn't, if that first incident, July 23rd, was an attack on him, then the July 29th thing almost doesn't matter because someone was already trying to kill him.
Well, I think it could be interesting though, because if it's something where like the possibility of the defendant's cooperation, like if say all of this stuff is someone trying to kill him, part of that conversation could be like, and I want to be sure that I am in, this particular space and like trying to negotiate like safety.
Right. Well, but
that
it
could be
just says
part
in
of that.
very general terms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they didn't get that far, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's weird to not get that far in that time. I don't know what the norm for that would be, Matt, but like if FBI and SDNY meet with Epstein's attorneys who are like, in general terms, discuss the possibility of a resolution and cooperation, as in probably plead to something and also maybe he can inform on somebody else, then nothing. Do we have any other record of any other conversation or anything that happened related to that?
Yeah, there's only one other document where it says that the scope of what he's trying to cooperate with is not clear yet, basically, and that's around the same time.
What date? Oh, okay.
Yeah, just around the same time. So that's as much as we know. We don't know what he was offering, and I'm sure they probably wouldn't have written it down anyway until we got a little further. So,
They disclosed video.
Interesting.
I mean, part of the thing is that they're trying to say, no, this is officially like a suicide, and here's the video proof because no one entered his cell, for X number of hours. Is that the only date that they've offered video for from this?
I think you're right. Yeah, the actual death. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know.
Sorry, as in what?
Like there's no like video related to his entire stay. It's just that particular day, the day that he died.
I thought they tried to release something on the first suicide attempt, didn't they?
Oh, really? I'm not aware of that. You
and
could
then
be
did
totally
we ever
right.
reconcile the missing time? Is that something you've looked into, Matt? The missing time in the tape?
I didn't look into that. It's not really.
Yeah, because to be honest, like this hasn't really been a high priority because it seemed like most likely a suicide based on the information.
And
but
also he's gone. Who cares? Because he's a piece of shit. So
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it mainly is because it seemed like it was, in terms of our priorities, not a priority. But like this is definitely enough to be suspicious again for me.
We do try to stick to the facts on this show, but this is a new fact. This is a completely new fact that was not known before. It does maybe potentially change things. So,
and you just never know who's writing a memo, how much effort they're putting into specific wording of stuff. Who knows? This is okay.
FBI is usually pretty careful in their memos.
You would think. So this is, wow. We'll keep an eye on any other developments on that, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to go on to talk about the hero of today's story. It's a picture there. There are not very many pictures of prosecutors out there, so I found one. It's Ana Maria Villafana. She's a high-ranking prosecutor in the Southern District of Florida. She was one of the people on the team, and as we're going to find, she was the only one talking sense on the prosecution team who was actually trying to federally indict Jeffrey Epstein. The only person taking her job seriously, and she's going to say that pretty much in these emails we're going to look at here. So I just wanted to...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, give a name, face to the name. So this memo had not previously come out before. This is a memo dated April 30th, 2007. This is from the entire team that is prosecuting. She signed off on it as well. And this part in bold. So this is a memo seeking approval for the attached indictment, and this is where they attach the draft indictment. We'll take a look at in a minute. And 60-count indictment. 60 counts because they had extensively, we now know that the grand jury investigation in both Florida and the federal grand jury investigation was much more than we thought. There's still money laundering stuff that has not come out. We're still waiting. That's one of the things that needs to come out. There's actually potentially a separate bill pending in Congress now to get the money laundering stuff out because DOJ is being so reluctant on all this. But check out in bold there, Lydia, the bold paragraph.
The FBI has information regarding Epstein's whereabouts on May 16th and May 19th, and they would like to arrest him on one of those dates. Epstein is considered an extremely high flight risk, and from information we have received, a continued danger to the community based upon his continued enticement of underage girls.
Jeez.
For these reasons, we would like to present a sealed indictment to the grand jury on May 15th, 2007, and we would like the presentation of that indictment and the status of the investigation to remain confidential.
So this is how it's supposed to work. This is how the federal government is supposed to prosecute people, and they're supposed to identify a good time to get him. They know that he's got multiple vehicles. And actually, I looked up his registry, his sex offender registry.
In a fucking island?
Yeah.
And planes.
Right? In a helicopter?
Yeah.
One of the things you have to do in a sex offender registry in the Virgin Islands is register all of your vehicles. They're all listed. I've never seen so many vehicles registered to one person, right? He's got boats and cars and planes and Bentley and... so these people are taking this seriously. Now, they have inherited an investigation. I just want to show you the Palm Beach investigation. There were a couple of dogged investigators on it, but that was also compromised. And at one point, the police chief wrote to the prosecutor. Yeah, I just want to show you something here. This has been going back to 2006. We're going to go back to our main timeline here, but this is just to show you that from the beginning that his very expensive attorneys, including Alan Dershowitz, have always been interfering in this case and have been pushing and pushing and pushing and trying to keep this. Now, the grand jury was railroaded, not railroaded. The grand jury was derailed, I should say, because Dershowitz found a MySpace page for one of the girls where she admits to smoking weed and talks about her boyfriend. It's like completely normal teenage stuff, but they were going to like rip her apart. At one point in the grand jury, they actually asked them, "Are you aware that you were committing prostitution? You could be charged with a crime." Yeah, right. Like 16-year-olds. Yeah.
Gross.
The prosecution did, and I think that was in the federal grand jury. But I mean, this whole thing has been so corrupt. But I just wanted to read you. This is from one of the good investigators in this case. This is dated July, was it 26th? You see that there?
July 25th, 2006?
2006, yeah. So if you look at, I can summarize the top there, that there's an offer. This is back in 2006. So this is before we're getting to the non-prosecution agreement, before getting to the final offer. It's years and years of work here. But this is one of the initial offers. And Epstein and his attorneys are desperate to avoid a record. They're desperate to avoid jail time. They have him on so many things at this point. And Villafania is convinced that there's child pornography that they could get him on. And so we find out that Dershowitz and Guy Fronstein have made an offer and that the state's attorney is thinking of taking it. And so check out, and then now again, this is one of the investigators who's been in constant contact with the parents. The original person who came forward was 14 years old to start this entire Epstein investigation. And I'm not sure if this is the one that he's talking to, but just keep that in mind as we're looking. So on the right there, the paragraph.
On the right? Okay.
Yeah.
I checked my voicemail messages and discovered a message from blank stepmother for the victim blank. She was calling because the state attorney's office still had not returned any of her calls as to when they are needed for this case. I then called ASA Belalovic's office and left messages for her to call the victims on this case and explain to them what the state attorney's office had done. On April 17, 2006, at approximately 4:30 p.m., State Attorney Investigator Tim Valentine called to officially notify me of the cancellation of the grand jury. He requested I contact the victims that had been served to appear to notify them of the cancellation. I advised Valentine that as this grand jury session was called based on the state attorney's office decision to have the victims heard by the grand jury, that I felt it was the state's attorney's office responsibility to contact the victims and advise them of the reason they were no longer needed.
You do it, is what he's saying, right? I'm not calling these people. This is not my idea. Because normally it would be, in the course of business that maybe when the investigators would call and tell them don't bother to show up, it's been canceled. But he's clearly...
Sorry, I was messing with tech for part of that to get the Zoom better. Can you, so who is this?
This is one of the, I don't have the name here, but it's one of the investigators in Florida on the state level who took this seriously. And I'm just taking you back to show you how the state did things. And he is clearly upset. You can tell from the tone. I've read a lot of police reports. Even when he says, he's in the other paragraph that's blacked out there, he's talking about arguing with the state's attorney, and he leaves immediately and goes back to brief the chief of police because they're so concerned about how compromised. And this chief of police at this point writes a letter, really strange letter, to the state's attorney saying, "We think that you are conflicted out of this. You are clearly compromised. Like something is going on here." But this part on the right here is when state's attorney is saying, "Can you do my dirty work? Call up the survivors and tell them they don't have to come to the grand jury because it's been canceled because we're going to get a deal." And he's like, "You do it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
That's not my plan."
Trying to delegate the
bad
hard work. Yeah.
So that's just a little background. And there's so much, we could do 5 episodes probably on the history of the Palm Beach prosecution and how that all went awry. But remember, the entire purpose of the plea agreement is to keep him from having a plea agreement. I want to really emphasize that, is to keep him out of federal court. And that's going to become very relevant as we go here. So let's go to the next page and take a look at the indictment. So this is the grand jury. This was never actually presented to the grand jury, but this is what was attached to the memo that we just saw, in which the entire prosecution team is saying, "We've got this ready to go. Here's the draft indictment. We want to arrest him on these dates because we know where he's going to be and he's got a plane. So let's just get him now." And 60 count indictment. And it just goes on. There's so much to it. But I wanted to show you the main charge. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is what they would have charged Matt Gaetz with if Matt Gaetz had been brought to justice on the things he was doing, because at this point, they did not believe they could prove that Epstein was providing these girls to anyone else. They believed that he was trafficking them for his own purposes, but of course he was trafficking them across state lines. He was taking them to the Virgin Islands, right? So this is easy federal case because it's the Mann Act, the very old Mann Act. I wanted to show you then on the next page. I've got the code there. So this is the main thing that they would have charged him with. They also had the co-conspirators that are blacked out. We know those are his assistants. It actually says specifically on the first page that there's assistance. But this is the main charge. There's quite a few other charges, and I could do a whole other episode breaking down the indictment. It's pretty interesting, but it is pretty much what we expected, that it is primarily brought under the Mann Act and a whole bunch of other conspiracy charges, and it just breaks down in exhausting detail every one of these girls and what happened. And, the very clear, obvious evidence they have that he was transporting for the purpose of sex, and that they were underage, and that he had reason to know they were underage. And just the research that went into this, the amount of detail that's in this indictment, it's very long. It's very, very complex. Alex Acosta tried to backpedal later and say that he had actually never seen the memo, which is ridiculous. Alex Acosta is the U.S. attorney, right? And this is a major case in his district. He says he never saw the memo. The memo that we saw before, the one where they're recommending. We just showed you the cover page.
Villafana drafted initially, right? Like
and
she had
she stood behind it, and the others didn't.
Memo.
Yeah.
I want to highlight here, while we're on the Mann Act, the sentencing situation that we would be looking at if this was actually pursued, right? Shall be fined under this title and imprisoned not less than 10 years or for life. And then
I'm sure you had like a bunch of counts of that, right?
And that's transportation with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. Then there's also item B, travel with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. And then that one says, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 30 years or both.
And he had so many counts.
Keep that in mind when we talk about what happened with the plea deal, right? Which we have talked about before, but we're going to get into
a little bit more because
so
this is painful.
Bad.
No, it is really hard to look at.
So to be clear, we're not going through the indictment, but you just showed us the top of it or something, and you're just saying there's tons of detail about.
And the memo.
And we've never seen this before?
Nope.
This has never come out before?
But I'm more interested in the communications around it, for the purpose of our show.
We'll take your word for it that the indictment's really, really bad and detailed and thorough,
and
right?
all kinds of details. And we could just scroll through it, but
so there wasn't any weakness of the case that would lead to a deal, I guess is the point I'm making.
That's an interesting question because you might remember from our last look at the defense emails when they're going back and forth, the defense was like chipping away at every possible thing. And they're saying, you can't possibly sustain this case. And the U.S. Attorney's Office was entertaining the idea that this might not be a strong case, even though they had him dead on this stuff. They had so many counts. They had so many women, girls at this point. They had so many things. So check out the way this goes. So I want to keep this on track. Here's Matthew Menchel, I think at this point he's the head criminal prosecutor for the district. And he's writing to Anne-Marie Villafana, the only person who's going to take this seriously. And this is May 14th. Now, the draft indictment and the memo that we looked at, so the memo was basically summarizing why they think they can get to this indictment. It's incredibly detailed, explains the exact theory of the law, cites all kinds of stuff. So it's like 85 pages, very, very long and detailed memo. And so she's pushing. She's saying, look, we got it. We got these dates. Now, check out the bottom here, the bottom message from her before we get to his message.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning. I just received a call that Epstein's plane is flying from the Virgin Islands to Newark now, so it looks like Epstein is going to show up for his court appearance tomorrow. Can you let me know if the indictment is going tomorrow, or if not, whether we are authorized to proceed by complaint?
So
Thank
they know
you.
He's going to be in the area. They know they can get him. And she's saying, come on, we've got it. You've seen this memo. You've seen the indictment. Can we go forward on this? And here's the response she gets from Matthew Menchel. And it's especially important that it's from Matthew Menchel, as we'll talk about.
Right. Marie, you will not have approval to go forward tomorrow with an indictment or to proceed by complaint. Alex has your memo and left court's letter, but he is out of the district at the U.S. Attorney's conference for the next several days. Oh, yeah, well, that's priority, of course, right?
Fucking conference.
I'm having trouble understanding, given how long this case has been pending, what the rush is.
Yeah.
This is obviously a very significant case, and Alex wants to take his time making sure he is comfortable before proceeding. Oh, just a bunch of other girls are going to be victimized and abused.
She says that in bold. It's in bold that he's going to keep doing it. The clock is ticking. And it makes me
disgusting.
So angry. It's so gross. Yeah, this is
unbelievable.
Yeah, there's more to come. And it's going to get worse. This web is going to get worse. Trust me. There's more to come here. So Villafana, again, remember, is our hero. So we can get on to the next one.
Yeah.
And we're not going to read all of this, but I just wanted to show you what she was putting up with. Here's May 22nd. Now, remember that last email was May 14th. They sent around the draft indictment at the very beginning of May. And so just check out the tone of this. I'm not going to read the whole email, but just see how it starts and notice who he's sending it to. It says, gentlemen, comma.
And she's CC'd. The one woman is CC'd.
Yep, gentlemen. So that's what she's dealing with. That's the office she's working in. Yep.
Gentlemen, Marie and I have already met with left court, which is...
to be fair, he's addressing the gentleman and saying, Marie and I have already met. So
Right.
okay.
But she's on the team and she's like, I just feel like, I don't know. Anyway, but I just thought it was weird detail. But yeah, we can actually, I'm sorry, we can skip the email. But the last part though is at the bottom. Yeah, check out read the last paragraph. That's really something. Because so Left Court is one of the main attorneys at this point for Epstein. He has sent a letter explaining why he thinks that Epstein should not be prosecuted. And they're dithering. They're like actually taking this seriously when they should just go to the grand jury.
In any event, I'm forwarding this letter to you. I'm going to suggest to Left Court the same thing that I suggested to Tain. I assume you would grant his attorneys a chance to make whatever presentation they desire. It would probably be helpful to us in any event to hear their legal arguments in case we have missed something. Whether Alex would be present or grant them another meeting after that is his call.
Imagine you just read an 85-page memo and drafted an indictment. Or, 45-page memo, whatever. Lengthy memo, lengthy indictment. You have done the work. You have sealed this thing up. And they're asking for another
Well, that's
meeting.
their side. Let's hear their side.
Let's make sure we didn't miss anything.
Let's give them a chance to...
When does this happen? Who does this?
So I could imagine being like, well, like the part they said, we can hear their legal arguments ahead of time and kind of prepare. I could imagine that being a justification for it.
But again, you've got what you need to go to the grand jury. I can't imagine this happening in any other kind of federal case.
It's just wasting time.
Yeah.
And there's so much time.
You could also do this after you already charge him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
argue about
right. Negotiations, right? Like in terms
this
of...
is all like slowing down the actual even indictment, right?
I am certain that if I tried to pull this, they'd say, well, that's what motions to dismiss are for. Go ahead. File a motion to dismiss and see how it goes.
Yeah.
This
is nuts.
We stand by our charges. And Alex, again, is absent. Alex is not CC'd. Alex Acosta not participating.
Whether Alex would be present or grant them another meeting after that is his call.
Yeah, we're just going to keep stretching this out.
So weird.
And he is... And he says under oath in the transcript that we'll show a little bit of later, but when he was investigated about all of this, he said he never saw the memo that she wrote. And so he was
Acosta?
Yeah. And before deciding to go with a non-prosecution agreement, he never saw the memo explaining why he should be indicted. So,
unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zero accountability.
So bad. It's going to get worse.
Crazy.
Let's keep going.
It's still going to get worse?
Oh, yeah. All right. So
Matt, we're going to run out of worse.
So this is Matthew Menchel again. We don't have to read the whole thing, but I want to give you a taste. This is in response to an email that I don't believe we have from her, but you can get the idea of what she wrote based on what he's writing. This is July 5th, 2007. So we're getting pretty close. The non-prosecution agreement is going to be signed in September 2007, and then they're going to argue about it for another 8 or 9 months about what it actually means. So let's see what Matthew Menchel has to say to Villafania.
Marie, both the tone and substance of your email are totally inappropriate.
Go fuck yourself.
And in combination with other matters in the past, it seriously calls your judgment into question. As you well know, the U.S. Attorney has not even decided whether to go forward with a prosecution in this matter. Thus, you should have respected his position before engaging in plea negotiations.
Jesus.
Along that same line, despite whatever contrary representations you made to the agents in this matter, it was made clear to you by the U.S. Attorney and the first assistant from the time when you were first authorized to investigate Mr. Epstein that the office had concerns about taking this case because of petit policy and a number of legal issues. Despite being told these things, you prepared a prose memo and indictment that included a definitive date for indictment. It has come to my attention that you led the agents to believe...
Who the fuck are you jack-off?
Well, he's kind of her boss. Not really, but kind of. But they're working together. And they also, I believe his name was also on the memo. It's redacted. It's very important to remember. Just continue the theme of redacting U.S. attorneys. In the previous memo that we saw, the one with the bold language, her name is, and we know her name is on it. We know she helped to write it, but the entire team signed off on it to Alex Acosta. But he's dressing her down and saying, you made people think he was going to be indicted. You got the agents all worked up and excited about this. But we can skip down here. And the tone of this, obviously, is just dressing her down. And then Lily Sanchez, this is an important note here. Just look at the paragraph starting with Lily Sanchez.
Lily Sanchez called me before, not after the June 26 meeting. It was an informal discussion and not in the nature of an official plea offer, but rather a feeling out by both sides as to what it might take to resolve the matter.
So hold on to that thought for just a minute. I'm not going to do the big reveal.
Who's Lily Sanchez?
So Lily Sanchez
That's a great
is on.
question.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to do the full reveal yet, but she is a defense attorney for Jeffrey Epstein. And she and Matthew Mendel have been kind of in side communications for their own reasons. And she's basically saying, you're making a side deal with Lily Sanchez. You've been talking to her behind our backs. And he's like, no, that was after. It was before the meeting.
Informal.
Wait, who's saying that? So our hero
Villafania,
was alleging.
Villafania,
Okay.
And, as you're well aware, the only reason why this office even agreed to look into the Epstein matter is because of concerns the state had not done an adequate job in vindicating the victim's rights. Of course, we're here to do that with this ridiculous deal we're going to make. So let's keep going. You should also know my discussion with Lily Sanchez was made, and you can go to the next page.
Okay. Next slide.
Yeah, next slide.
Convicted. I'm very interested in this. Where
Okay.
did we stop?
Sure, I'll pick up where we left
agreed
off.
to look into the matter. Okay. Had not done an adequate job in vindicating the victim's rights. That's a good point. What did the state do? Well, whatever. As you and the agents conceded, had Epstein been convicted of a felony that resulted in jail sentence and sex offender status, neither the FBI nor our office ever would have interceded. Oh,
Yes,
okay. So they're saying, had the state done that?
Because he could have been nailed hard on state charges.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't he?
That's a whole other story. But
Jesus.
they could have, though. They had a pretty solid indictment going, and the federal government, I mean, there's a lot of dispute about this. The federal government definitely stepped in to swoop in to say, we're going to go harder on him. And the state said, okay, as long as you go harder on him. And of course, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we can
All
just
right.
the other Lily Sanchez part.
Yeah, you should also know that my discussion with Lily Sanchez was made with the U.S. Attorney's full knowledge. Had Lily Sanchez expressed interest in pursuing this avenue further, I certainly would have raised it with all the interested individuals in this case, including you and the agents. In any event, I fail to see how a discussion that went nowhere has hurt our bargaining position. I'm also quite confident that no one on the defense team believes that the federal investigation in this matter has been for show.
Except for the person who's writing it to. She believes that. Rightfully. Yeah.
Nor are your arguments that I have violated the Ashcroft memo, the USAM, or any other policy well taken. As chief of the criminal division, I am the person designated by the U.S. Attorney to exercise appropriate discretion in deciding whether certain pleas are appropriate and consistent with the Ashcroft memo and the USAM, not you.
Just to be clear, is the U.S. Attorney Acosta, or is that somebody else?
Yeah, for our purposes. Yep.
As for your statement that my concerns about this case hurting Project Safe Childhood are unfounded, I made it clear to you that those concerns were voiced by the U.S. Attorney. Whether or not you are correct, matters of policy are always within his purview, and any decisions in that area ultimately rest with him. Finally, you may not dictate the dates and people you will meet with about this or any other case. If the U.S. Attorney or the first assistant desire to meet with you, they will let you know. Nor will I direct Epstein's lawyers to communicate only with you. If you want to work major cases in the district, you must understand and accept the fact that there is a chain of command, something you disregard with great regularity.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. And she is, again, morally and legally correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing they have the male protagonist do in movies.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Where they're like, fuck this chain of command. Let's put this child molester in jail.
Yeah.
And yet.
So let's see her
All right.
response to
Crazy.
this. Yeah.
That was her response.
Yeah,
Jesus, I'm on the edge of my goddamn seat with this. Has
Good
anyone
stuff.
talked to her? Like, is it, do you know where she is? Is she like.
We'll get to where she is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm jumping the gun.
That's right.
All right.
Hi, Matt. My trial is over. Oh, and actually, I just want to note, so when he emailed her, Jeff Sloman, and then CC'd Andrew Laurie, and she emails him directly.
Personally, that's a great point. Yep, good
yeah.
catch. This is July 13th, so it's not much later.
Hi, Matt. My trial is over, so I now have time to focus back on this case and our email exchange. There are several points in your email that I would like to address, and I also would like to address where we are in the case. First, I wanted to address the comment about jumping the chain of command. After that concern was brought to my attention several months ago, I've tried very hard to be cognizant of the chain of command, and as was evident at the meeting with Epstein's attorneys, Andy and I have discussed the case extensively. My original email asking for everyone's input was addressed to Andy, you, and Jeff, and Karen Atkinson was CC'd. Karen and I also have discussed the case in great detail. The response to your email was addressed only to you because I thought you would want to discuss privately our disagreement. It was addressed to Jeff as well because you said that you had Jeff's BlackBerry and it was a holiday when you would be out of the office. If there's a particular instance of violating the chain of command that you would like to discuss, I would be happy to discuss it with you. Second, the reason why I sent the original email to everyone was to see if anyone had any objections to the proposed language. I waited several days to send out the email to Lily to get everyone's response. In your response, you did not raise any concerns, nor did anyone else. Given your indication that the U.S. Attorney would be satisfied with an agreement involving no federal prosecution, I certainly didn't think that an agreement involving some federal component would be objectionable. Andy, Jeff, you, and I all have discussed the greater flexibility of a pre-indictment plea.
Remember, a plea was not on the table right now. They're pushing a non-prosecution agreement where he will not be prosecuted or charged federally at all.
Given your indication that the U.S. Attorney would be satisfied with an agreement involving no federal prosecution, I certainly didn't think that an agreement involving some federal component would be objective. Does she mean maybe she left out a not? given your indication that the U.S. attorney would not be
I
satisfied?
know, and I think from other things that she is proposing something where there would be a concurrent state and federal punishment would be pretty light federal. But I think I'm not sure exactly what.
But if she's saying, so basically that sentence is given that, I wonder if there's a missing word there, which happens all the time with this kind of thing. Given your indication that the U.S. attorney, meaning what, Acosta, would be satisfied with an agreement involving no federal prosecution.
Probably should be, the no is probably,
it must be would not be satisfied. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Or with an agreement involving federal prosecution. It might be the other thing. So either, who knows? Sorry.
What?
Oh, it might be that he might be satisfied with an agreement involving federal prosecution. So instead of involving no federal prosecution, that could be the no.
Right. I think it's more plausible that she left out a word rather than typed a no in a place that she didn't mean to.
Yeah, but
involving no federal prosecution. I certainly didn't think that an agreement involving some federal component would be objectionable. So the sentence would only make sense if it was, well, he was fine. He essentially indicated he would not be satisfied with an agreement involving no federal prosecution. So I didn't think an agreement involving some federal prosecution would be objectionable. That's the only way it makes sense. So I hope that's a word that was left out.
Sure.
Andy, Jeff, you and I have all discussed the greater flexibility of a pre-indictment plea. Okay.
Federal plea.
Does it continue? Or?
Yeah, let's keep going. I think there's a little more here.
Okay.
The statement that I have not respected Alex's position regarding the prosecution of the case demonstrates why you hear the frustration in the tone of my email. For 2.5 months, I have been asking about what that position is. I have asked for direction on whether to revise the indictment, whether there are other issues that Alex wants addressed prior to deciding, whether there's additional investigation that needs to be done, etc. None of that direction has been forthcoming, so I am left with a grand jury, victims, and agents all demanding to know why we aren't presenting an indictment. Perhaps that lack of direction is through no fault of yours, but I've been dealing with a black box, so I do not know to whom I should address my frustration. My recollection of the original meeting with Alex and Jeff is quite different than your summary. In that meeting, I summarized the case and the state attorney's office's handling of it. I acknowledged that we needed to do work to collect the evidence establishing a federal nexus, and I noted the time and money that would be required for an investigation. I said that I was willing to invest that time and the FBI was willing to invest the money, but I didn't want to get to the end and then have the office be intimidated by the high-powered lawyers.
Which is what happened.
Jeez.
I was assured that that would not happen. Now I feel like there is a glass ceiling that prevents me from moving forward while evidence suggests while evidence suggests that Epstein is continuing to engage in this criminal behavior. Additionally, the FBI has identified 2 more victims. If the case is not going to go forward, I think it is unfair to give hope to more girls.
Jesus.
And that sentence.
This fucking thing. Holy shit.
That really got me.
Yeah, me too.
As far as promising the FBI that an indictment was a foregone conclusion, I don't know of any cases in the office where an investigation has been opened with the plan not to indict, and I have never presented an indictment package that has resulted in a declination. I didn't treat this case any differently.
It's a funny way to say I always win. I've never presented an indictment package that resulted in a declination. Yeah.
I didn't treat this case any differently. I worked with the agents to gather the evidence, and I prepared an indictment package that I believe establishes probable cause that a series of crimes have been committed. More importantly, I believe there is proof beyond a reasonable doubt of Epstein's criminal culpability. Lastly, I was not trying to, quote, dictate a meeting with the U.S. attorney or anyone else. I stated that I, quote, would like to schedule a meeting, asking to have the same courtesy that was extended to the defense attorneys, extended to the FBI and an assistant in the office. With respect to your questions regarding my judgment, I will simply say that disagreements about strategy and raising concerns about the forgotten voices of the victims in this case should not be classified as a lapse in judgment. This office should seek to foster spirited debate about the law and the use of prosecutorial discretion, and I think that those debates do occur with other AUSAs. I know of past instances where disagreements about the application of the law to different defendants and defense attorneys has resulted in a call for the resignation of the AUSA who dared to challenge the executive office's conclusions. I found that very disheartening and hoped that this administration would be different. However, my first and only concern in this case, and my other child exploitation cases, is the victims. If our personality differences threaten their access to justice, then please put someone on the case whom you trust more and who will also protect their rights.
Jesus Christ.
Good for you.
And then finishing up, in the meantime, I will be meeting with the agents on Monday to begin preparing a revised indictment package containing your suggestions on the indictment and responding to the issues raised by Epstein's attorneys. Andy and I have discussed the most recent letter and noted the disingenuousness of their arguments. For example, they would like to use a linguist to establish the plain meaning of, quote, using in connection with, quote, knowingly persuading, but they want us to disregard the plain meaning of, quote, mail or any facility or means of interstate or foreign commerce, and instead treat that language as though it says only, quote, the internet. They have simply ignored binding precedent from the 11th Circuit and the Supreme Court in making their arguments about the Commerce Clause and the interpretation of 2242B. If there are any specific issues that you or the U.S. Attorney would like to see addressed, please let me know. Again, this email has been addressed only to you, but if you would like to share it with anyone else in Miami or here, please feel free. I hope that you have a nice weekend.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. She's really restraining herself here. But
wow.
Yeah.
And
This is brutal.
the fact that she's saying, I don't know what the U.S. Attorney's position is months
This is fucking
into this.
brutal.
Months and months.
This is a highly competent
Yeah.
woman who cares.
Yep.
Who is trying to get through.
Yeah.
And doesn't know what the fuck this holdup is.
Trying to get through a wall of men
And then just
who are
got lectured.
protecting
Yeah.
bad men.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is unbelievable.
Someone who specializes
This is-
in child exploitation. Yeah.
This is the kind of shit, like they made the movie Spotlight. That should be this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
why I wanted to put
what
it in.
is happening?
Oh, it's going to
Unbelievable.
get worse, Thomas. Get ready.
How is it still going to get
Oh,
worse,
it's
man?
going to get worse. Lydia already knows.
Oh
but I
my
don't want to spoil it yet.
God.
Yeah.
So look at the second paragraph here. Now, this is from Matt Menschel again. He calls himself Matt. I guess I'll call him Matt. I'm just reluctant to.
Wait, this is
Too many Matts.
June. So is this before?
Yeah, we're jumping back. I want to show you
Okay,
something.
okay.
There's a pattern here.
Okay.
So check out paragraph 2.
Okay. Lily told me that they wanted to present something in writing before the meeting, which was why she was pushing us for the statute.
Lily Sanchez on the defense team, just to remind you.
I view the meeting more as us listening and then presenting their position, so I would say that you don't need to prepare anything. You're quite knowledgeable on the law in any event, but if you disagree, we can discuss on Monday. As for the documents that they have yet to produce, I'll mention it to Lily if you like, or we can raise it with them at the Tuesday meeting.
So notice the way he's just like, I'm talking to Lily. I can check in with Lily if you
Yeah.
want me to, right?
Lily and
Yeah.
I were informally discussing this, yada,
Yes.
yada, yada.
We're feeling each other out, as it were. You can see where this is going. All right, so we're going to pick it back up here with more of the relationship between Lily and Matt. And this is a little weird because it's being sent from Jeff Sloman's BlackBerry, and Jeff is one of the lead prosecutors on this. And so you're going to be hearing Matt Menschel writing from Jeff Sloman's BlackBerry. And I have to believe this is user error because BlackBerries can't really give you that much trouble.
Yeah, you would
for
know.
those of us who aren't 1,000, is this a common thing where you would lend each other?
Have I guys shown you guys my new phone?
Yeah.
This is
What?
it's a retrofit. Yeah, the Q25. It's a 2010 BlackBerry with nude guts. Anyway, I love it.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So
All right, so Matt stole Jeff's phone and said, Marie,
Yes.
my BlackBerry is giving me trouble, so I'm using Jeff's. I told Lily that a state plea with jail time and sex offender status may satisfy the USA. It was a non-starter for them, Matt.
oh, non-starter. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So another off the record one-on-one conversation with
Okay.
Lily.
I guess that's where you say, well, see you in court.
Yeah. Let's take it to trial because
Right.
we've got a lot of evidence and a lot of people ready to testify against Jeffrey Epstein. So
It
let's
is
go on to the next
crazy to
slide.
me, yeah. Like the
Yeah.
defense is like making the decisions.
Yeah.
This is just
Yeah. I mean, it's fine if they want to
Bonkers.
turn down a deal, I guess, but then I don't get this feeling where it's like continued conversation after
Right.
that. Like they
Right.
don't treat any other criminal like that.
And remember what Villafania said about how I was told the high-powered attorneys would not overpower us, that we would be able to have it
Right.
in an
Right.
actual case. And this is exactly what she was afraid of. So we can check out the next slide and we'll get a big reveal here, I think. So this isn't the interview with Alex Acosta. This is from his debrief, basically, once around 2018, around the time he had to resign, I believe, when the Congress is trying to figure out what happened with this plea deal. And so here's a little breakdown here.
right. Question. The minority touched on it a little bit. The former criminal chief Menschel and his relationship with Lily Sanchez, who became one of Epstein's counsels. And you said you were aware of that after the fact, not concurrently? Answer. I became aware of that when I was asked about it by the Office of Professional Responsibility. My first assistant became aware of it when he was asked about it at the Office of Professional Responsibility. Question. Did, and just pardon me for not remembering if it was already touched on, did Mr. Menschel recuse himself because of that relationship? Answer. He did not. Question. Should he have? Answer: I should have known about it, or my first assistant should have known about it, and we should have had a fulsome discussion. How long ago was the relationship? What was the nature of the relationship?
Yeah. So we can.
They dated.
They
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
dated
Yeah.
They were
during
a
that
thing.
time.
Before that
Previously
time.
dated. Mhm.
But
Previously
they were pretty
dated.
close.
Mhm.
And so the Office of Professional Responsibility did a very complete report in which they found that nothing strictly unethical was done. There's just a lot of poor judgment. And here's their conclusion about this relationship from the OPR on the next slide.
Menschel told OPR that when he and Sanchez were in the USAO, they had a social relationship which included, in 2003, quote, a handful of dates over a period of 2 to 3 weeks. We decided that this was probably best not to pursue, and we mutually agreed to not do that. Apart from that, he stated they were, quote, close and, quote, hung out, and he asserted that this was known in the office at the time. Menschel said that his relationship with Sanchez, quote, changed dramatically when she left the office for private practice, and that by the time he became involved in the Epstein investigation, he had dated and married his wife, and his contact with Sanchez would, quote, most likely have been at office events and when she attended his wedding.
She attended his wedding.
Menschel added, quote, that was 3.5 years prior for a very brief period of time, and I don't think I gave it a moment's thought.
So, again, I'm not saying anything improper was happening during the time of the representation, but they totally hooked up and they knew each other very well. And
why not say it either?
Right.
You know that you dated this person, you're having conversations with them in a very high profile, contentious, sensitive issue. Why not just come out with it and say it?
Yep. In a one-on-one informal kind of way, and you're making decisions for the case together, right? And
Yeah.
she went to his wedding, which again, it's not unusual for former prosecutors and defense attorneys to be friends. Like, that's pretty normal. They work together in the same office. This happens all the time. But, and Acosta says in the transcript and other places that he was annoyed that the defense team purposely hired people from his office who knew his office and in fact might have actually overheard conversations about this case at the time. Like, they purposely did that, just in a very intentional kind of way. But this was a pretty bad breach. And OPR couldn't find.
To me, like if this is disclosed, I would kind of feel like it's a nothing burger. Like, I would be like, it was for 2 to 3 weeks, years and years ago, I guess 4 years ago or whatever at that time, 5 years, 5 years ago at that time, I probably would have been like, not a huge deal as long as everything seemed, perfectly fine and standard going through the process. But the fact that it wasn't disclosed makes it worse to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, especially because
it definitely does. Does this explain? I guess I'm trying to think how. I mean, on the scale of everything happening here, 2-3 dates. Do we have any reason to believe he's lying or whatever? Because if it's 3.5 years prior, a couple of dates, and then he's moved on and gotten married and all that. So, Matt, separate from just pretend we're just normal case stuff. Like, you're working a case, you're a defense attorney or something. Maximum fairness here. If they might have dated a couple times 3.5 years prior, and then he's, subsequently married and all that, and he, I assume that there's a lot of relationships among lawyers who went to law school or work together and whatever. I'm sure there's plenty. Is it something now? If he's saying that it was known at the office, that's his version of it. And honestly, if it's between him and Alex Acosta, who wasn't there apparently and didn't fucking pay attention or do anything,
He was too busy with all the conferences he was going
I know.
to.
I might trust this guy. At that same time, I don't it seems like Menschel was being a piece of shit toward our hero of the story, but does this really explain that? I don't know. What do you think? Take it all together.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of colors it when you look back on the way, on his tone and the way he's like, basically, Lily and I have this figured out. Like, we've been talking it out, and he's very defensive about the fact that they've been talking when she points it out, because she must know. It sounds like the office knew that they had.
Oh, right.
And I've had the experience of being on the other side from somebody I've dated before. And it's very, very briefly, just once, but not quite that much. And if we'd actually gone to trial, I think I would have made sure that wasn't, I don't think she would have stayed on if we would actually gone to trial for that case. But Massachusetts is a small place. There's a lot of lawyers here, and it's not that hard to end up on the other side of a case from somebody whose wedding you've gone to, as is this case here. And you think about back in the Christmas episode when we were talking about Dershowitz and the unnamed prosecutor that he's very chummy with, right? That he's having drinks with and he's hanging out with, and that they know each other and he's trying to be friendly. That's a little different. It's not an intimate dating relationship, but This stuff happens. You do have to use your best judgment. I don't think they had any idea this case was going to blow up to become internationally famous.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
the
How
kinds
many-
of things that they're talking about that were alleged to have occurred, like that's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
I don't.
How many cases like this
Yeah.
are they dealing with? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Did they? I don't know. This is. I
There's
mean,
a
the whole
little
thing
more.
sucks. It strikes me as
Yeah.
like they got pushed over by the lawyers that don't even seem particularly impressive. I wish we need a full 9/11 style investigation into this fucking thing. I don't understand it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
None of it
and
makes sense.
The OPR report doesn't cut it, as you'll see in the next slide here.
Okay.
There's a little bit more in the OPR. We don't have to read the whole thing, but basically, the entire prosecution team says they weren't aware, even though it says other people in the office were aware that they had dated. He felt that it wasn't enough, that he needed to raise the issue with Acosta because he didn't think it was very long and, whatever else. He said if it was more than a handful of dates, he would have advised the supervisors, but he didn't think that it really influenced. And OPR doesn't think it did. But he says OPR does think it would have been prudent for him to have informed his supervisors.
Yeah.
And then there's a note at the bottom here that they did have lunch after she left, before the Epstein stuff got going. So, again, there's that fine line between like you're close friends with somebody who you used to work with, who's now on the other side of a case. That can happen. There's just, it's inevitable in the legal world. But I thought it was interesting, especially because of those emails, which I know we were all very affected by, that we just read, where they're exchanging these very sharp, opinions about the case. And he's very defensive about his relationship with Lily.
It was the only woman on Epstein's defense team as well.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
Like you say, it make sense where he's like, oh, it did seem like he was overreacting to whatever.
Villafania.
Villafania said about, about Lily. It does seem like defensiveness, like you say. But again, it's almost in a weird way. It's like, well, did this affect the case? I don't know, because it was being botched for so many other reasons.
Right.
Right. Like, I don't know if this is like that significant, but it's definitely not good.
Yeah, it's interesting, that when he's writing from Jeff's BlackBerry, that one note there where he's saying, well, she's saying that this is completely off the table and, we're not going to talk about it anymore, when maybe the two of them shouldn't have been talking about it. Maybe that should have been more of a whole group discussion. But anyway, we can see there's another interesting little point. I'm just going to gloss over this very quickly in the next thing. I'm not sure what to make of this, but a bunch of Alex Acosta's emails from a very critical period have disappeared.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very convenient. From May 2007.
Oh,
and of course, the agreement was in September 2007, through November 2008. And all the way through that time, from September of 2007 all the way through the end of 2008, the defense team is just whining about the agreement that he has just signed in September and saying, well, that's not what it actually meant. You can't actually make us do any of this. It just there's a whole lot of 6 or 7 months. And this is during the time, very critically, during the time when the U.S. Attorney's Office actually, and I'm not exaggerating, lies to the victims, sends out a letter basically saying we're still working on this when they'd already signed the non-prosecution agreement, does not tell them what's in the non-prosecution. Did we cover that last time? We did touch on it. I'm going to talk a little bit more here, but I'd love to do a whole episode on just the victims' rights aspect of this case, because it is really a disaster. And it's really bad.
There are no victims' rights in this.
No,
I don't even know
there should have been.
Let's talk about, there's nothing there. Okay.
No, yeah.
They got no rights.
There's a whole statute.
This is interesting too, because it says, are you going to read it?
I'll read this for the listeners. After reviewing the emails, OPR identified a data gap in Acosta's email records. His inbox contained no emails from May 26, 2007 through November 2nd, 2008. This gap, however, was not present with respect to Acosta's sent email.
That's a big fucking tell. So he just went and deleted it out of his inbox.
Oh, yeah. OPR requested that EOUSA investigate. I'm guessing it's like the IT team. During its investigation, EOUSA discovered a data association error that incorrectly associated Acosta's data with an unrelated employee who had a similar name. But why that particular period of time? Once the data was properly associated, EOUSA found and produced 11,248 Acosta emails from April 3rd, 2008 through the end of his tenure at the USAO.
That's also
still a big gap.
All of them.
That's
it's not all.
Gap.
It's May 11 months. Almost just about 11 11 months. 10 and a half,
That's
yeah.
most of the gap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, with respect to the remaining emails, EOUSA concluded that the emails were not transferred from the USAO when, in 2008 and 2009, Outlook data for all U.S. attorneys' offices was migrated to EOUSA's centralized system to be maintained. Government technology changes. The USAO's data was migrated between March and June 2008.
No word on anybody else's emails just mysteriously disappearing.
Yeah, weird.
Just is.
It is.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's the inbox but not the sent that's just not possible.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. That doesn't, you can't have it something associate with the wrong name, but only for the inbox and not for the sent. Doesn't exist. Sorry, that's not real.
Yeah.
I mean, IT people can and always do write in. I do appreciate it because I know a little something about IT, but I'm not like a professional. That strikes me as impossible. I don't know how you would explain that. I mean, maybe someone will tell me there's some arcane, tech explanation for that. A different server handles the inbox and that. I doubt it. I don't know. That is fucking this thing. Wow.
As always,
Bizarre.
just putting the information out there and letting you decide. All right. So here is the non-prosecution
we've already
agreement.
decided this fucking sucks, Matt. This sucks and
It all
it's bad.
sucks.
And
here's the
everybody
thing.
Alex
involved
Acosta sucks.
is suspect.
Yeah.
I just want to
Except
remind
our hero.
everybody, yes, and she's going to be coming back. But I want to remind everybody of the non-prosecution agreement itself, because just for those just catching up, and in case you're not aware of what the sweetheart deal actually was, since everybody calls it that, the deal was that he would not be prosecuted in federal court as long as he would take a plea in state court to nothing charges, right, to solicitation of a minor, essentially. And so this is the title. This is the cover page of the non-prosecution agreement.
And there were 35 victims, alleged victims during this time. Yeah.
I thought it was weird
still.
when the language was like Jeffrey Epstein, hereafter known as Sweetheart, in the Sweetheart will be
Darling.
receiving God.
On the next page, next slide, you can see the actual, the very famous language, the best deal ever given to any defendant ever in the history of the United States. You can read the first few sentences there.
In consideration of Epstein's agreement to plead guilty and to provide compensation in the manner described above, if Epstein successfully fulfills all of the terms and conditions of this agreement, the United States also agrees that it will not institute any criminal charges against any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, including but not limited to Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, or Nadia Markinkova. Further, upon execution of this agreement and a plea agreement with the state attorney's office, the federal grand jury investigation will be suspended, and all pending federal grand jury subpoenas will be held in abeyance unless and until the defendant violates any term of this agreement.
That's pretty much the rest of it's boilerplate.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting, too, that Ghislaine Maxwell is not mentioned because she's the number one co-conspirator.
Yeah.
But again, it is including but not limited to.
Including
so
but not
obviously-
limited to. Yeah.
Right. That can include.
Why would they agree to that?
It's insane. Nothing like this.
I don't understand
happens.
this.
This doesn't happen. Like anybody in the world, in the universe, ever who might have ever conspired with you, we don't know their names right now.
It's like
no, it's crazy.
It's just these are normally such one-sided negotiations. I mean, this normally it's everything we hate, where prosecutors have way too much power. They're overcharging people. They're doing, negotiations where the defendant usually has no leverage whatsoever and often is agreeing to stuff that's not even real, like they're not even guilty of. And yet what would be the thing where they're like bargaining for, just like what would Epstein do? What was his side say when they're like, okay, we're not going to agree to, not instituting criminal charges against co-conspirators. And they're like, no can do. Like what is that part of the negotiation?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I've never seen anything like this. I want to say all my no experience. I don't understand this.
It's the Dershowitz part, because he was very instrumental in this and may or may not have been a co-conspirator, allegedly.
Right. Yeah. No, he is the including but not limited to.
Yeah.
Like it's Ghislaine Maxwell, Alan Dershowitz.
The bargaining? What is the reason for the prosecutors, for the attorneys to
say okay?
Yeah. To do any of that. I mean, it's unbeliable. It doesn't make any sense.
Just to remind everybody, Acosta tried to take it back in his interview, but he said at the time to Julie Brown of the Miami Herald that Epstein belonged to intelligence and this was above his pay grade. He had to. And also, I will point out that Villafana was forced to negotiate or to basically finalize the deal. That was her job. That was very unfortunate for her. That she kind of, again, chain of command, just had to do with what she was told. But
I want to know, even if he were some sort of intelligence asset, what's the process of that? Like they come and get, okay, this we got a pedophile here. Oh, that's our pedophile.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, give him a sweetheart deal. Like, how does that work? That doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense.
Yeah. He ends up doing basically 13 months of very easy prison time where he gets to spend most of his time in house arrest. He gets to
12
pay,
hours a day, right? Like,
yeah,
he
gets to
isn't
pay deputies
even
in suits
there.
to stand
Yeah.
outside, like to act like bodyguards. Nobody even knows he's under house arrest. He gets to conduct his business. He gets to do whatever he wants at home. And of course, this just to remind everybody, this period of time, he's just getting his empire going, and he's really going to get going on international trafficking after that. And, Acosta claims in his interview that he thought that he was going to lose this case potentially. And he also emphasizes over and over again, and this, seeing the indictment really gives line to this. He emphasizes many times, this is a state case. It would have been very hard to prove federally. Epstein's flying people between New York and Florida and the Virgin Islands and Florida and New York. Like, this is international. This is international. This is a national case. It's a federal case. Nothing hard to prove.
Yeah, looking at the law of that.
Yeah.
I know it might be a little more complicated than what I'm about to say, but when it comes to this, it seems like the only difference in, like, okay, can the state prove it easier than the federal government, whatever? Isn't the difference just like the jurisdiction questions where you have to establish that, like, okay, he did, interstate commerce or something, whatever. Like, in terms of the actual facts of the things he did, those would be the same for both, wouldn't they? Or at least there'd be a lot of overlap in terms of the proof that you'd have for the state versus the proof you'd need for the federal charges.
Yeah, for the federal charges,
would they be?
You have to emphasize the interstate nature of it. But I mean, again, there's
that's it. That's the only. Isn't that pretty much the only thing?
There's a lot of it in there.
That doesn't seem hard.
I mean, they prominently mention his jet and how many people he was flying around. So yeah, it's not hard at all.
And again, if he had those concerns, then why didn't he ever raise those with Villafana when she drafted the indictment, when she drafted that memo and said, hey, I think we have some gaps here that we need to shore up before we move on? But he just didn't say anything.
He didn't read it
at all.
Allegedly.
He allegedly didn't even read it. So what's going on here? Truly,
that's what he says.
That's worse than it makes it worse, man.
Bad manager.
The other piece of this that really drives me crazy, if Epstein is intelligence and like above his pay grade or whatever, then what you're saying is like the decade that followed was just he got to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Like, and continue to abuse
I don't understand
up to 1,000 people.
Means.
What in the world?
I think that's just a lie.
Yeah, there's no way because then we have an even bigger issue then. Yeah. Like if someone has like carte blanche to do whatever they want as long as they're an asset for the intelligence community for the United States. That seems insane.
I truly don't get how that mechanically would work, Matt. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I look. Why would that do anything? That strikes me, especially if he said it and kind of took it back, that strikes me as maybe a lie he went to or something, or
just
that he tried to pull off.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. Because even if he were intelligence, you don't get to just be a pedophile and break the law. Like at what point, like how would that work in terms of the deal? Like it would be, if they're like in the best case scenario or like if this were at all legitimate, and they could say, oh, no, he did some crimes, but it was because the government was put him up to it. Then you just wouldn't even be prosecuting him, right? Wouldn't you just be like, oh, okay, this was all for the government or something? You wouldn't do a thing where you're like, well, we'll do a deal with him, but it'll be a little softer. That'll be a softer deal. That doesn't. What is that?
There's
I don't
so
know.
much evidence. I think they have to do something, and I think there would have been some pretty serious whistleblowing if they just completely dropped it, especially because they've been telling the state
pretty much was them
point.
completely dropping it. Man.
This was no, and the state let them have the case on the condition that they would federally prosecute it the right way, and this is what they end up with: is a non-prosecution agreement that kicks it back to the state, and on the condition that he take these dinky charges.
Can I get an answer from you as to whether you buy into any of this intelligence asset thing, or how would that work? Like, how would that make this happen is what I'm saying.
If he really is an intelligence asset and they need him to keep running, it just, again, if, right? It's speculative.
Yeah.
If they need him to keep running this operation so he can get dirt on people, but they need to slap him on the wrist so it looks like he's gotten some consequences. And he was completely allowed to continue and to expand his operations after this. So it does make you wonder. He only got worse. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works. I've never had a client who's an asset of intelligence services. So but
then why would it have ended the way that it did in 2018, 2019 when he, was charged? Like, why would it have ended up back there at all.
Well,
I'm pretty sure you have to have some sort of paperwork if you're having somebody commit crimes on the government's behalf. Like when they do undercover cop stuff, they're not just like, all right, nobody even knows about this. No one knows you exist. Go be a drug dealer or something. Like
I mean,
somebody has
Yeah.
to know.
by 2018, though, yeah, Julie K. Brown had done this amazing work for the Herald that we've talked about. Alex Acosta had to resign because it came out. Nobody really even understood how bad this deal was until that point, right? There's the
Yeah.
people that knew the case, right? But the world didn't know. And at
Yeah.
the point at which the world knew, they pretty much had to prosecute him. And I think he'd probably served his use. Again, if you're looking at the intelligence thing, he's probably run its course of what they can do with him. But,
Which
you know,
is
again,
what
Which is
we'll
what,
never know.
because nothing's happened either. Like
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
people that are named, and some of which we don't know because they're still protecting their identities, apparently. What? Like
Yeah, to help them get away with being
Okay.
pedophiles more.
they're
'Cause
going to
that's
just
what's happened.
die with nothing having happened.
I
This is a
mean,
joke.
just
I
again,
don't
this is a little
understand.
beyond my jurisdiction, but
Yeah,
if we're talking about if we're talking about what we're talking about, then you would have things on these men, almost all men, that you could use for the rest of their lives and control them. So there
Mhm.
certainly is, and there's value to it if you are an intelligence service. And there's certainly the Russian stuff we haven't got into yet. The Russian connections, I think, still have not been explored enough where the money was going. It needs to be coming out more. There's a lot that I don't feel comfortable just because I try to work in facts. I know it's what we do here. But if I had to speculate.
I get it, but I'm trying to understand like what even the realm of possibilities is. You know, I'm not, and so who would even be the people? Okay, of the people we've seen in these files, who would be the people that it would be valuable to have stuff on? I mean, I know there's probably some, but like a lot of them, it's not, right? A lot of them is just like, oh, this is a lawyer he knew, or this is a banker he knew. Like, would
Yeah.
As much as
intelligence
bankers,
want?
I mean, Leon Black's one who's an incredibly influential, very, very wealthy banker.
Yeah.
And you know, you've got Clinton, you've got Prince Andrew, you've got Ehud Barak from Israel, you've got all these other people that he was socializing with. And who knows what other kinds of names and people and whatever kinds of Russians or anybody else we've got involved here. It's a little beyond what I want to speculate about, but I could see it. And I understand, you know, I'm not a conspiratorial person usually, but I can understand where people come from on this and why they get there. But that's about
I
as
just
much
think
as I
it
can
would
say.
have come out. I just think that you can't. I mean, like Lydia said, what changes in 2018? You can just all of a sudden that none of that mattered. Okay, cool. I don't know.
Too much
All
pressure.
right, we can move
Yeah,
on.
we can
I
move on.
guess.
Yeah, here's a little nugget from the Acosta interview.
When's it going to stop getting worse? Are we still in the get worse territory?
There's some cleanup as it gets worse afterward. But let's take a look at this little nugget here from the Acosta transcript.
Right. Question. Were you aware then of photographs of Menschel with Epstein in Aspen, Colorado, skiing?
Oh my God. Okay.
Answer. I was not, and I wasn't aware of it till this minute.
Till this minute?
Question. If you were aware of it, would that raise some concerns? Answer. Yes, it would. When were the pictures? Mr. Redacted. Do you know when, Mr. Redacted? I think it was early 2000s.
Early 2000s. He's
Oh
skiing with
my
Epstein
God.
well before this case. So, you know, just throw that in. That
I mean, that's kind of what I meant when I said, like, I don't think the relationship with Lily mattered. Like, there's something else going on. That's such a small part of it. This seems like something.
yeah.
What, do we have any more on this?
No, just no. But well, there's more coming about Menschel. So yeah, here we go. Next one.
Okay, here we
This
go.
is now
All right.
2012.
Wow.
All right. Let's see. Starting from the bottom. Matt Menschel will come see you for dinner on Friday, June 1st at 7:30. Matt is in court all week, FYI. And hello, Reed. You and Jeffrey are confirmed to have lunch tomorrow with Matt Menschel at the Chop House. It is within walking distance to Roy's office. God.
There's a little collection
What?
here. Yeah.
Sorry. And yeah, and then there's the December
December
8th.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
there's a bunch of
see.
different
I
things.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just a little clip.
I thought it was
Breakfast with
a
Matt
email thread.
Menschel.
Yeah.
This is all okay. This is all a bit after.
Yep.
This is all
Many years after.
after.
Yep.
How gross. Like the stuff that you probably saw working on this case.
Absolutely.
And now you're going to start a relationship with this person?
Well, apparently they already skied together before.
I know.
that,
But, well,
so
I mean, but like,
they're not starting a relationship.
I
but
guess,
yeah.
well, continue, I guess. Beyond that one ski, event, I guess we don't know how extensive it was. But I cannot imagine after learning everything you learn
Yeah.
in that kind of a situation wanting to continue this.
If I knew that about my neighbor, I'd never talk to him again. I mean, it's just, come on. I mean, this is, and his official statement to the Herald was, Miami Herald, was we never had any business relationship. That's not the question, man.
I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
You hung out.
Oh, we didn't do a startup together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
God.
Let's see what's next.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to keep going.
All right. This is kind of funny. At the bottom here. So this is a fully follow-up from Lily Sanchez.
Bottom? Okay.
Okay, Lily Sanchez is asking me for the dial-in details. She wants to be on call tomorrow. Is this okay? Jeffrey Epstein says no.
What the hell? This is 2011.
Yeah. Years later.
Oh, wow.
And then up top
Interesting.
is funny too, what he says.
FYI, I'm not going to answer her.
So
Oh.
Jeffrey Epstein is not taking your calls after everything you did for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just think it's funny. There is
What
a
would this
more
be about?
cordial. I don't even know, but I mean,
Wouldn't this?
she's still
Yeah.
working with
Oh,
him.
okay. Interesting. So whoever this is, the conversation between Jeffrey Epstein and Redacted here is then forwarded to Indike.
Yeah. The attorney.
Epstein's
Yep.
attorney.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, just to be clear, this doesn't have anything to do with the other guy.
No,
Correct.
This is just Lily. Just a little
Man,
follow-up on Lily
man,
Sanchez. Yeah. Just
Man,
where are they now kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mental.
Yeah,
Mental.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then there's another funny one about Lily Sanchez. The next. This is funny.
Okay. So this is from Lily to
Yeah.
Epstein.
2017. Yeah.
Wow.
Hi, Jeffrey. I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to write to you and say happy anniversary. 10 years ago, you gave me the beautiful Mercedes-Benz S550. Wow. And I just wanted to tell you that I drive it to this day, and as the picture attached shows, it recently hit 100,000 miles. I can say that it is the most valued and used gift I have ever received. It makes me think of you often with much affection.
Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
On
Yeah,
another
so-
note,
Yeah,
my
personal
son
stuff.
graduated. Yeah, my son graduated in May. Oh, okay. I see. You're just saying it doesn't matter.
But the
Got it.
Mercedes-Benz is the important part. But now, again, 10 years ago, July 2007, she's negotiating a non-prosecution agreement with her ex, Mr. Manchell. So
And he rewards her with a Benz.
Yeah.
that time before the thing's finished. And she's writing. And again, I appreciate the loyalty, I guess, the gratitude of following up and saying, hey, still driving the car, still think of you all the time. My
Yeah, if
pedophile
it
friend.
were like a business dispute and this weren't the worst pedophile known, then maybe it'd be like, all right, whatever. You gave a bonus essentially to your lawyer. This is 10 years later, being like, man, you know I fucking love that horrible pedophile. I think of you every day as I drive my blood fucking car, built on the victims.
How disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, if I ever rode in a car that the person was like, oh yeah, this pedophile, like this, human trafficker bought this for me. Isn't it nice? I'd be like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in this car. It's disgusting. You're
And
disgusting.
You mark the 10-year anniversary of when Jeffrey Epstein gave you a car.
I mean, it's the levels of bad where it's like, okay, even if she just like took that money for a client and was like, all right, and then just never said it, like,
right.
And then spent it on
lawyers got
purchasing
a
car
lawyer,
even, like,
I guess.
whatever.
But like, this is like so much deeper than that, where you're like actively, who's such a sweetheart who I need to write an email to? The world's worst pedophile. That's what I need to do.
And what kills me too is like, and then she starts talking about her kid. I don't know if she has multiple children or just a son, but like theoretically they could have ridden in this car too. And so now you have like
How do people
your child
do this
riding
with their
in a
brains?
car. Yeah.
She had to have seen did she see that indictment or no? They wouldn't.
No, she would have known all the details. I mean, she would have certainly been familiar with the witness interviews, and I'm sure maybe she might have seen the draft. They would have talked about what was going into it at least.
You would think.
They'd know how many victims there were. So yeah. Let's see where she is now. A little where they now catch up on the next slide.
Oh, okay.
The name like flashes at me here. Governor DeSantis reappoints lawyer who helped secure sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein to Judicial Nominating Commission.
Come on.
Yep.
Wow.
She gets to pick judges in Florida. That's her
We
job.
want her in charge of picking judges.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she was first appointed basically right after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in 2019. Not that there's any connection, but I'm just saying it's just a weird thing. And also a very weird coincidence I just want to mention before we move on. And I this has to be a coincidence, but if I was more conspiratorially minded, I'd say it wasn't. Ana Villafana resigned from the U.S. Attorney's Office the day before Jeffrey Epstein died. Just one of those things. I don't know.
That would be so funny. That would be like the best
I want him to
movie
know
ending.
it was me.
Yeah, I
right.
would love that so much.
She's Daredevil.
She would be more of a hero in my
Tell
mind.
Lily. I want Lily to know it was me. That would be the only, yeah. Like,
Oh my God, that would be amazing. Hollywood
I mean,
moment.
like-
cinema.
it's not crazy to me that like it's funny how many different levels of thing, and we talked about the conspiracy theories and obviously like I don't know what to think after that, first slide you showed us way back when. But it's also that he could have been killed for completely non-conspiratorial reasons. Like
Right.
it just could have been revenge. It could have been, when you have that many victims who have that many families,
Mm-hmm.
God knows, could have been revenge, could have been just somebody not liking pedophiles, could have been, so there's like all kinds of levels, even if you want to talk about like, maybe this wasn't a suicide and maybe it wasn't. Now that we read that, I don't know. It still wouldn't take you to, therefore, like Donald Trump had him killed or something.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you'd need a whole lot of more evidence to tie it to that. And I don't see anything that indicates that at all, but we'll see what happens in the next 3 or 4 releases. Next several
So
million
crazy.
files that we get.
So I just want to acknowledge the 11th Circuit case. This is a really good subject for another time. But this case, I just went back and read it today. I hadn't read it in a while. And this really jumped out at me, that this one line as they're getting into it. So this was the victims when they came forward to sue to say that they had been denied their rights under the Crime Victims' Rights Act, right? Because they were not notified. And the court found, after the sentence we're about to read, had to find that they in fact did not have to be notified because there was no federal prosecution. But that was the whole point. It's a very circular thing, right? The whole point was to keep it out of federal court so that they wouldn't be notified. They weren't notified because it wasn't in federal court. And so you can see here's what the court has to say about the case itself.
The facts underlying this case, as we understand them, are beyond scandalous. They tell a tale of national disgrace.
And that's the 11th Circuit speaking, and I think that's appropriate. The dissent in this case is well worth a read another time, but I think the dissent is absolutely correct. They say that there's no reason at all that the investigation stage that they should not be notifying victims about an intent to not prosecute or to kick it back to state. It's a really long decision, and I'd love to have an expert on victims' rights sometime to talk about it because there's just a lot here. But I just want to acknowledge that this case happened and that they got they got shorted again. Like they just got yet another bad deal here. There is something being pursued right now, as of now, like literally now in New York, that might go a little further. But this was what happened in the 11th Circuit in New York. So, So let's move on to the our last piece here, and we can close it out. This is from Jeffrey Sloman, Jeff, whose BlackBerry Matt Manchel was using way back then. Yeah.
Man, we get an op-ed from Alan Dershowitz being like, "There's no there," with Epstein files. Now we have to hear from another freaking guy on this defense team.
I think if it were,
this is the
40s,
prosecution.
we would
Sorry.
get
Yeah.
op-eds by people running the camps. Like we would get, they'd be like, like this is by somebody who, works the door of Auschwitz.
Day in the life.
It's not as bad
Day in the life.
as they're making it out to be. What do you mean? Why would this be an op-ed that we would?
No one wants this.
I eat the food there all the time. Food's good. Yeah.
Like what?
But we should take a quick look at this piece. Now, there's also a New York Times piece we don't have time I'll link to, but there's a New York Times letter to the editor where his defense team writes in very indignantly to say, when the New York Times is pointing out that Alex Acosta gave them a very good deal, saying what a terrible deal it was, really. It wasn't that good for him at all. But let's just take a quick look at this. I linked over to it on the Miami Herald piece. We can close that. Now that we've seen just how bad this deal was, I think it's worth taking a look at what Sloman says about it, because he needs to defend himself. He knows that this is his reputation on the line and Alex Acosta's. This is February 16th, 2019. So this is before Jeffrey Epstein is charged in the New York case, but they know things are building. They know that it's back in the news. Acosta's had to resign. So this is the official statement, more or less.
Now, this is truly vapid response stuff here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
By now, you have probably formed some views on the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Sure have.
Okay.
Yeah, I have.
You are, like me, repulsed by Epstein's conduct.
Shut up.
You probably also believe, as I do now, that more facts have emerged.
Facts.
As I do, that more facts have emerged.
Yeah.
You know the facts better than anybody.
Remind me, what was the...
Sloman. Yeah, he was one of the main prosecutors. He was I think he was actually above Philfania. So he
What
saw
about
this.
so? What's the relation of him to the main guy with the relationship with Lily? Sorry, I'm losing track of. I'm not
they're
good.
all on the same team.
Lydia
Same
helps
team.
me.
Same team,
Okay.
yeah.
Are they the same level of thing or?
Not
Menchel was
necessarily.
the head of the criminal division, I believe, in Southern District of Florida at that point. And but
What did
Sloman was up
Sloman
there too.
do that we've seen?
He was
lend
CC'd in all
Matt
these.
Just lend the-
the
And he lent him
BlackBerry.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so there's nothing specific that we saw from him that was like bad shit or what?
No.
Nothing that we've pulled for this.
Okay, sorry.
There,
I'm
there
just so
could
bad
be
with
something.
names.
I don't know.
Definitely in
Right.
there, but he was
Yeah.
Okay.
as familiar with the case as Villafani or anybody else. So
Yeah.
he's no excuse.
So point is, he could have just walked away slowly like this.
Yeah.
But he's going to write op-eds defending how that was handled.
Well,
Yeah.
he knows his name is associated with this case forever, so he's got to put something on the
that's
record, I
fair.
guess.
Okay.
You probably also believe, as I do now that more facts have emerged, that Epstein deserved harsher punishment than he ended up getting.
Then the nun?
Yeah, then the zero. No one will argue seriously against these views. But based on the based on the Miami Herald's Perversion of Justice series and the ensuing news coverage, you may also believe that well-connected lawyers corrupted now Secretary of Labor and then U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta and his team into giving Epstein a sweetheart deal. They did not. I would know. I was there.
They also corrupted me.
Yeah.
It wasn't just them. I don't,
No,
yeah, what is
It's
this
just
going
like
to be?
so
Joke's on you.
oblivious.
We were already corrupt. It was fine.
Yeah.
No worries.
What is this? I have to continue this. Like, I need to know what the argument's going to be.
In the late 2000s, I worked as Alex's second in command at the U.S.
Are you
Attorney's
familiar
Office.
with a mind control ray? It's been developed. They don't tell you about it, but they have one, and that's it. That's the only
Turns
thing.
out
in
he's like
Florida,
actually the alien guy from the History Channel, like from
Yeah,
the
there-
meme. Like that's
That's the
Jeff
only thing
Sloman.
that could come
Yeah.
after this. There's nothing else that could come after.
And the Epstein case came to our attention in 2006. The local authority with primary jurisdiction to hold Epstein accountable for his crimes, the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office, was going to allow him to plead guilty to a misdemeanor and merely pay a fine.
Wait, what?
The local police rightly were outraged and brought the facts to us.
Yeah, we briefly touched on this, but
Oh,
there
yeah,
was,
that's right.
Yeah.
But
we-
you
that's
just
a whole
said a
story.
second ago they only turned it over. The state only turned it over on the theory that they were actually going to prosecute. So is that not true?
Yeah, these two officers, the investigators that were so incensed about this, they really believed that it was going to be federally prosecuted.
Okay.
After reviewing the case, we were appalled. Stunningly, the local prosecutor's resolution had not even acknowledged that Epstein engaged in abhorrent sex acts with scores of children. Despite our shock, we approached this case as federal prosecutors should approach every case, with a steadfast commitment to truth.
Customer service and making sure the person we're prosecuting felt comfortable at all times.
Good manners, yes.
Yeah.
With a steadfast commitment to truth and a deep and abiding respect for the rights that our Constitution and our laws afford to both victims and
To
the
only
accused.
perpetrators and not victims. Yeah.
God, this is jack-off motion, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, that shock wore off pretty quick, huh?
Our priorities were to make sure Epstein could not hurt anyone else while you failed
Yeah.
Wow.
abysmally,
That's why we stretch it out for another year.
and to compensate Epstein's victims without re-traumatizing them, failed again.
No,
How
well,
could
that's
you
why we
say
didn't
that?
tell them.
Fail,
we didn't want to
fail,
traumatize
fail.
them. We just didn't tell them anything.
Unbelievable.
How could you say that with a straight face? Because we know that he hurt probably more people after
Yeah.
this, right? Like
Scores.
many more.
Like
more than
And
he had done
more internationally.
heretofore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
our team worked diligently to build a federal case against Epstein.
And then we dropped it.
By our team, we mean the one person
We
who
mean
actually gave a shit.
the woman, that we then ignored.
We had one. We had one on it.
Throughout the investigation, we took care to be respectful of the pain Epstein's victims had endured. As we continued, however, it became clear that most of Epstein's victims were terrified to cooperate against him.
We didn't ask him, but we got a vibe.
And also,
And instead of
you-
offering protection or anything like that, we just said, oh, you're too scared. Okay, never mind. We'll just drop it.
And I can
Cool.
say this because this is all completely verifiable, but they were terrified because Alan Dershowitz hired people to follow them around and scare them and threaten them. That's all in the reports. In
Wow.
the indictment. Yep.
Hey, isn't that like a crime?
Like a crime? Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think.
Some hired lawyers to avoid appearing before a grand jury. One of the key witnesses moved to Australia and refused to return calls from us. We also researched and discussed significant legal impediments to prosecuting what was, at heart, a local sex abuse
Local.
case.
Look,
That-
this is interstate.
Okay.
I love that phrasing. We also did research on our own to find like impediments, to track down any impediment we could to make sure. We did some
Put it
great
in the
research
report.
on that.
Put it in the report.
We found so many.
Given the obstacles we faced in fashioning a robust federal prosecution, we decided to negotiate a resolution. The only way a resolution could ever be palatable, though, was if we met our two objectives: to protect others
to do
from
fucking
Epstein.
nothing and to suck.
Yeah.
That's it.
To protect others from Epstein and to compensate Epstein's victims without subjecting them to additional trauma.
Again, we didn't tell them anything, so it's perfect. No trauma.
To those ends, we demanded that Epstein, 1, plead guilty to a felony in state court that reflected his true conduct.
His true conduct.
2, agree to incarceration for up to 18 months. Cool. 3, register as a sex offender. And 4, pay each known victim between $150,000 and $250,000 through a streamlined mechanism designed to avoid re-victimization.
Oh, they spent 8 months trying to get out of that too. Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
We genuinely felt that these conditions met our two objectives. We told Epstein that unless he and the local authorities accepted our demands, we would indict and try him on federal charges. They agreed, and we did not pursue a federal case.
Okay.
It's true. They didn't.
Many feel that this was not a harsh enough punishment.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, I know that our resolution was not perfect.
But they had us by the balls. You know, they just really had
Matt
us.
had a ski trip he had to get to with Epstein in about a year and a half, so we needed to make sure that happened. And that Epstein was able to use the resources at his disposal to exploit its weaknesses. That said, some have mistakenly suggested that our office kowtowed to Epstein's high-priced defense lawyers, or worse, that his lawyers intimidated us into submission. The Herald's Perversion of Justice series made a strong case that he should have gone to jail for much longer, but never explained or substantiated its accusation that we schemed with Epstein's lawyers to avoid that result.
So he didn't go to... I'm sorry. That sentence is really
please.
funny to me. They're right. He should have gone to jail for much longer. It's not that we schemed with the lawyers to avoid the result. We just didn't get that result.
Yeah, what is it then? Tell me what it is.
How did that happen?
I want to know.
Right.
I want to know what it is.
The team that worked the case was clear-eyed and dedicated. I have not reviewed the case file in more than 12 years.
So take my word for it.
Yeah.
I've
But
forgotten about most of this.
I remember the vibe of it being like, we did great.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Miami Herald has reviewed things like more recently than you have at this point.
And talked to a lot of people.
But I know in my heart that we based our actions solely on our independent interpretation of the facts and the law. You can disagree with the result we reached, but our whole team, from Alex on down the chain of command, always acted with integrity and in good faith. I feel a special obligation to defend Alex from the unfair criticism he has received after the Herald published Perversion of Justice. There was no public outcry for Alex to withdraw his candidacy for Secretary of Labor when, a month before his Senate confirmation hearing, the Herald featured an earlier article about the Epstein case. To the contrary,
Yeah, what does that have to go ahead?
Yeah. To the contrary, senators barely gave Alex the opportunity to discuss the case during his testimony and went on to confirm him by a relatively wide margin.
So because senators didn't do their fucking job either, that's great.
Yeah.
So that means
He
we can't be mad.
He's blaming Julie K. Brown for her incredible work on this, for her many years of reporting.
Again,
He's saying
blaming
she
a
did
woman.
too good a job.
Cool.
I don't like. Nobody noticed when we published one article, and then you guys had to publish a series, and look what happens. What?
Yeah.
This just means the
journalism.
Senate didn't do their job. That has neither here nor there.
Also, I'm sorry,
Still
the way
true.
that this is set up too, that they barely gave Alex the opportunity,
Yeah.
like that he was like
He was
chomping at the
gonna
bit. He was
talk about
gonna
it, yeah.
tell everything. He was going to share his perspective. No, he was not. Absolutely not. Unless they grilled him, and they didn't. Now with the Herald's series serving as kindling, an outstanding public servant is at risk of becoming collateral damage in Washington's latest polarized
I don't think this is polarized. I think pretty much everybody is like, fuck this guy that knows about it.
What's the other poll here?
Yeah.
I won't let that happen without first being heard.
I'm sorry, just blaming
Okay, old white
journalism. Man. Yeah. Thomas, you mentioned the Spotlight series that brought down obviously a bunch of priests and Catholic Church from the Boston Globe, and I can imagine a similar kind of thing of like everything was fine till you guys noticed what we were doing with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had to fire a bunch of priests. It's really inconvenient.
Like the pathetic argument. There's one article and the senators didn't care.
Right.
So this is unfair. So what? I don't like. What
And
is
then you
that
ran a
argument?
series,
Trace
and
the logic of that argument for me, please.
Mr.
Whatever his name
It's
is.
so bad.
Jeff Sloman. Yeah,
It
and
just-
we have to close it out with, of course, this piece.
Okay.
I am a lifelong Democrat.
I don't care.
My personal political views do not align with Alex's views, and I did not vote for the president for whom Alex now serves as Secretary of Labor. But I know the leader and the person that Alex is. He is an honorable and decent man. Nothing about the Epstein case changes my view of his character. I hope that our leaders take my experiences into account as his stellar career and reputation hang in the balance.
Nope.
And if you scroll down, you can see a little picture of Mr. Sloman, Mr. Old White Guy.
Yeah, looking like a TV lawyer.
Yeah.
I
Guy
gotta say,
looks like someone you'd borrow a BlackBerry from. Is resting. I
Fully
have an extra
charged
BlackBerry
too.
face.
Yeah.
that guy doesn't deserve a BlackBerry.
He's got like 2 Blackberries in the photo, like in his pockets. Like, God, so dumb.
At minimum, Alex Acosta was a terrible manager who did not review anything in front of him and just kind of let people do what they were going to do. Like he says, and in his transcript, in his interview, he says he just never reviewed any of it. That's his.
Hey,
that's
man,
the best
I'll
he can
believe
do.
it. I'll believe it. Yeah, I like honestly that is slightly more comforting than whatever else was going on. If you're just like, hey man, I suck at my job. I didn't care. Wasn't too, I
was more interested in going to conferences.
I was watching shows at my desk, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was just kind of, they had just invented Twitter or whatever.
I was
2007. Yeah. Then they came out with YouTube. Like, what am I going to work?
Yeah.
Come on. This is right around that key time. I was starting to get bored with Facebook a little bit. So, because that's 3 years old at this point.
Yeah.
It's not like
I
we're
got
ever going to hear the
sucked
name
into
Jeffrey
social
Epstein
media.
again. So,
Yeah. But like, I feel like that's plausible. Like that's the most plausible thing. But then he makes it worse with all the lies he told, with all the bullshit about the intelligence. Which is it? Like pick a thing. You got to pick one reason. Otherwise I don't trust you. If you pick 7 different reasons for why you sucked and they're all conflicting, then you're just lying. I don't
Yeah.
Which is it?
The interview is pretty bad. Like at one point, so there's after they signed the non-prosecution agreement, they all went out to breakfast. They had a breakfast, and he claims he doesn't remember it. And Villafana clearly remembers this happening. Of course, he'd remember it after all this work you did. The defense attorneys take the U.S. attorney out to breakfast after this ridiculous deal. He says it just happened to be because he was speaking at some event, and they just grabbed him and went out to breakfast. But like stuff like that, he just doesn't remember having breakfast. I mean, maybe I'd want to forget having breakfast with Alan Dershowitz too. I don't know. But,
I just say no. Just you could just be like, no, thank you, pedophile and pedophile's advocate.
Gonna take this muffin to go. I'm good. Yeah.
God, this is man. There's got to be more, right? I mean,
there's so much more.
Because I still feel like I don't properly understand it. Well, okay, Matt, everything you've taken in, what is your current theory of why this prosecution sucked so bad? Like, what do you think it is?
I think it's because he paid a lot of people a lot of money, some of the best attorneys in the country who had a lot of pull. And also, I mean, we saw those emails before. And I think it's very interesting to go back to the last major Epstein episode we did in December and to kind of match it up against this, where you see the relentlessness. And that was just a sample of the relentlessness of just the constant wearing down of like every little word of the non-prosecution agreement, of the constant follow-ups and the constant calls. And, and they reference some of that in these emails here. But, I think that at some point, you got other stuff to do, other people to deal with. I think that's part of it. That again is one of the more charitable explanations of all of this. But I also think that you've just got a guy with a lot of money and power, and it's much easier to get this kind of a deal in America.
Yeah.
I'm on Gmail, by the way, because they said that they did update with the new volume of.
Is that the thing that I found that was like
that's the Gmail kind of thing? Yeah,
Epstein's email.
Yeah,
that's the only update after this weekend when I've already done all this work.
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
So
we have more to do.
I'm sure there's so much more we're going to do. I just searched Matthew Menschel. There's so many emails with him going through 2017. There's an email from Leslie Groff saying, "Do you want Darren Indike at meeting with Menschel today?" So now we have,
sounds like related to that one that we saw.
That was in 2017. It's so many. There was one. I searched Sloman because I was like, oh, I wonder if he's in here too somehow. And Epstein emailed Menschel. This is in 2012, and it just says Sloman for dessert, and I don't know what that means. I'm still kind of poking around. There's so much here.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Man.
Well, this is horrible. It's horrible. We're gonna keep tuning. I'm left with more questions.
Yeah.
And we didn't even touch on Trump in this one, really.
No.
I mean, a little bit, but like, there's plenty more to talk about regarding that, I'm sure. Are we scheduled for any more file dumps, or are they claiming this is it?
So they are reassessing. Potentially there could be more. I mean, they had to pull back a bunch, and that was about half of what was supposed to have been remaining. I think Congress is going to keep hammering on it. As I said, there's a bill drafted to only address the financial releases so that we can get, and that's going to be a lot harder to go through, but forensically to try to figure out the money, try to follow that. But yeah, there's definitely more.
Math. Okay, I can help.
And and it's only been about a week as the time we're recording this, and there's 3 million documents and thousands of hours of.
There's going to be more to come. This
so
is
yeah,
not meant
there's
to be,
and I'm just kind of in the dark, just like randomly searching things. I didn't have the benefit of the Gmail thing, which I'll start playing with now.
Yeah.
But because the Epstein Library DOJ site is very hard to use, it's very clunky in government fashion. But the Gmail thing is a beautiful little Gmail type layout, so you can see what his inbox looked like. So worth a look.
Oh boy. All right. Well, thanks so much, Matt, for that hard work. Lydia as well. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks most of all to the patrons making this happen. Patreon.com/law. If you appreciate all the hard work that's being put into this, maybe go throw us a buck or two over there at patreon.com/law. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
This has been Opening Arguments, produced by Thomas and Lydia Smith, with editing help from Peter Baird. The intro is by Thomas Smith. This outro is by Matt Cameron. Support the show at patreon.com/law. Contact us through Patreon or openarguments@gmail.com. Make sure to follow our Blue Sky @openargs. But most of all, please share the show. Thanks for listening.